There is a life force, a vitality, an energy, quickening, that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will not exist in any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares to the expressions of others. It is your business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to stay open and aware to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction whatever at any point. There's only a queer divine dissatisfaction. Blessed unrest. Keeps us marching and makes us more alive than others. Martha Graham. That quote is really important to me. I think about it a lot. It's become like a prayer. Thinking about keeping the channel open, that's the reference to the name of the show. The channel comes from that quote. As artists, as creatives, it can be very confusing at times to know what we're doing, why are we doing this, especially if you try to make a living through your art. So we wanted to put this together to speak to artists and allow artists to talk about what it's like to be an artist, to make art, to sell art, to express yourself, to try to make a living. We're not so interested in the practical self-help type stuff. At least I'm not that interested. I'm much more interested in knowing why people do it. What's it like? How do they stay focused? How do they stay motivated? What is it that compels them to do this thing? Especially in a society where it's difficult to carve out time and to really have a good reason, a sensible reason to do it. So today I'm going to interview an artist along with my fantastic co-host, who is also an artist. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the process of being an artist and all that comes with it. I'm very proud and honored to get to share this stage with my co-host. This person is somebody who I would say is magnanimous. There's somebody who is magnetic and just oozes charisma, style, and swag. So you may know this person if you follow them on their social media platforms. They host a variety of different creative ventures that employ other people and give opportunity for artists like me to continue doing what I do. I would like to now take this moment to introduce and welcome my co-host, Prince Ferrell.
Oh shit.
Yeah, watch the mics.
Okay. No, okay, hey. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good, you know. I'm excited to interview Dan.
Yeah.
They're very quirky. They're very
Yeah.
funny. I think it would be a good discussion.
I agree. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I like this fit.
Thank you. Yes, shout out to the Oklahoma Fashion Alliance. They styled me today. So, I'm a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid. One of the first cosplays I ever did was Big Boss, who is he has a patch. He has a patch.
I like this, very swashbuckler.
Yes, thank you. I have swashed, I have a buckle.
What's up with the sword? Let me see.
Yeah, it is a saber. This is, we just named it earlier. You named it. Would you like to introduce?
This is Barbara the sword. I love this.
You know, you can't own one of those. Well, you can own one of those, but you can't carry one of those in our state of Oklahoma. It's considered a deadly weapon. The blade is like anything longer than 3 inches is considered a deadly weapon.
Wait. So this is considered a deadly weapon, but everyone
Yeah.
can do concealed carry and
Yeah.
have a
So
gun
you
in the glove
can
box.
have a gun, a firearm, a pistol if you're 21 years older. So this is the thing. If you're not in Oklahoma, you can have a up to between like any caliber smaller than 45, and it can be Magnum, which is like the dirty, hairy. I think this is a 44 Magnum, the one where it's like, this thing will blow you. Do you feel lucky, punk? Whatever. That's like a famously super overpowered gun.
Yeah, blow through a tree.
You don't need to register it. You don't need to have a concealed carry license or any kind of class, or you just are 21 years old and you just go buy the gun. I mean, somebody could just give you a gun and you don't need to tell anybody that you have it, and you can carry that. You can put it in your back pocket or whatever. That's completely legal in our state. But that is illegal to carry it in public, at least, concealed or otherwise.
Swords, where Oklahoma draws the line.
Yep.
Crazy.
It's a deadly weapon. Anyway, we should probably put it back in the cabinet.
It's deadly.
Yes. Yeah. What have you been up to?
You know, just vibing, surfing, just finding my way, finding myself, you know?
Finding yourself?
No, yeah, but really, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of soul searching.
What prompted that?
You know, just life. You know, I feel like as artists, we have to put on many hats. And I feel like the phase I'm in, I'm putting on another hat of like, even now, it's like the Metal Mario hat.
Oh, shoot.
You know what I mean? Metal Mario?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And he jumps up and hits the box.
Mm-hmm. It gets heavy.
He's like,
It's got like this cool music that comes on.
he's like, da, 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 da. Sometimes you just got to put on that Metal Mario hat and fucking go.
What about like, would you say, so between hats, what about masks? Do you feel like you've been having to wear masks at all?
But what isn't a mask, you know?
Yeah.
Like I would say even this is a mask, right? Like it's an armor.
Well, yeah, and honestly, I feel quite vulnerable wearing this.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's like...
It looks very like you, though.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. Because, I mean, it is parlor vibes.
It's you, but like camped up, which I fucking did.
Yeah. So earlier, speaking of camp, when we were styling, Lolly and Parker were the artists, and Parker came with like a wig, like a... What are those called? Like it wasn't like a powdered wig, but like the kind judges wear. We tried that. I was like, I kind of freaking want this wig, but it wasn't quite right. And then we also had a parrot on my shoulder at one point. And I'm like, you know what? The patch, but I don't know about the parrot.
See, I like the parrot. I want to see this. You should send me like a selfie or something.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, but the parrot was...
Next time.
Yeah. You know why pirates wore patches? I mean,
because
sailors.
They had scurvy and their eyes came out.
Well, that is probably also a reason. But there's like a practical reason to patches. So real brief, because I love these kind of historical random tidbits. When you're on the top of a deck of a boat, you're outside, bright light. You go below deck, there's no light, it's dark. So what you would do is you would have a patch covering one eye to keep that eye closed, which will dilate the pupil. And when you would go below deck, you lift it up, and then this eye could see in the dark. And you would you could then pull this back down. Anyway, it really works. Like if in the middle of the night, if you get up to use the bathroom and you're in the dark, close one eye. When you go to the bathroom, you turn your light on, keep it closed, use the bathroom. When you turn the light back off to go back to your bed, you'll be able to see in the dark.
It's like transitions lenses.
Completely, yeah. So it was a real thing. So yeah.
Who knew? Pirates were so innovative.
Totally.
Thought they were just stealing shit.
That too. There's still pirates today.
Like a Somali pirate?
Mm-hmm. It's like a real big problem though, for real. Like through this, I don't know where it is, but this part of the world. And boats and vessels try to ship goods like Amazon stuff from China and wherever. And there's like a whole rebellion of people that kind of own that territory. That sea has like belonged to these peoples for a long time, and they're not getting any cash from it because of imperialism and global imperialism type stuff.
Yeah, but like how do you pirate these days, right? It's like you think they'd have like some Brinks truck shit going on the container ship.
So it's getting to that point. Like I get on YouTube and just look at like modern piracy. It's crazy. Okay. So this guest that we're going to invite here in just a moment, I am very excited to have. I've been following their work for a while now. I remember the first time I saw it, I don't know if it was like social media or a mural or in a gallery, but somewhere around town. And I was really impressed and very inspired. The aesthetic was very mature in the sense that like I could tell that this artist knew what they were doing, like what they wanted their work to be. And that's a thing that it's tough, right? Like you're making art and like, for me personally, I'm constantly wanting to do different kinds of art and experiment. And I never like, even though I have certain styles that I dabble in, there's all kinds of stuff I want to do. And I'm like, I don't know if that fits like the aesthetic. And so to me, it's a sign of maturity. It's like, you've been doing your shit for a long time when you have like a really clear aesthetic that is visually consistent. And then like just seeing 2 or 3 of your pieces, I'm like, okay, I know what the 4th and 5th should look like.
Yeah. But then I think they do a good job of keeping you on your toes, because I've seen their style evolve so much. So I'm just excited to talk more about it.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of kind of that 80s Patrick Nagel, but it's very their own. Like it's not D-writing.
No, not at all. Honestly, like I did a bunch of Patrick Nagel research for this interview and tried to like look at other references to make sure like I knew what I could see they were drawing on. And I'm like, sort of Patrick Nagel sort of. Yeah, but I'm like, it's really not though.
No, but it's not.
It's really not.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get into that and talk about that. So I'm going to try to read out their bio with one eye. So bear with me. This person we're talking about is Dan Rocky. None other than Dan Rocky. The Dan Rocky. Dan Rocky is a Tulsa-based Muskogee Seminole artist inspired by pop art of the 80s, glam, drag, and powerful femmes. They created a world of neon illustrations. Working with acrylic, paint to digital, they often find themselves balancing the two styles, creating a sweet combination of technique. Never afraid to reference, they tend to feel inspired to be bold, yet simple. So everybody, please give me give them a warm round of applause as we welcome our guest, Dan Rocky.
Hi.
What's up?
What's up? Is this good? All right.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing on?
How have you been?
Great. The best I've ever been in my entire life.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not ironic.
Oh, wow.
For once, yeah.
What contributed to the best you've ever been?
I don't know. I think this is the first time in my life I've ever been completely sure of myself. Like I don't have really regrets or any doubts anymore. It's just like I'm here and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So
hell yeah.
What got you to that place, you think?
Really trusting myself and a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah. I really relate to that. Because with your artistic practice, you really can't listen to other people. You have to be like, oh, fuck you, respectfully. But, you have to just do you. And, like, you can't be, like, boxed in by, like, expectations or even, like, the way that the artist game flows. Because, like, we live in such a cool time where, like, you don't have to play the gallery game. You just be consistent on TikTok or some shit. And then,
Yeah, I think I'm lucky.
The next girl.
I have a question. So you said sacrifices earlier. You've had to make sacrifice. What sacrifices have you made?
I guess I can be like vulnerable about it. I don't really talk about like my private life, but I was in a relationship for 7 years and realized like I was putting my art on the back burner for this person and I just was not happy. And I kept allowing myself to kind of suffer to make this person's life better. And I realized how deeply it was affecting me. And it was the scariest thing I ever had to do. It was like, I consider it rock bottom, but like I can't be Dan Rocky without hitting rock bottom. So like I like left, I had like a big mural. It was my first ever mural. And the day before I was leaving for that mural, I was on my lunch break and we got in a fight, and I just looked at this person and I was like, when I come back from OKC next week, we're done. I'm moving out. I don't want this anymore. And so I like gave up my apartment. I gave up my pets. I gave up all of my furniture. And I just told him all I wanted was my car and my clothes. And I like moved in with my mom and lived there for 3 weeks, and like absolutely felt like for the first time in my life, true independence. And I knew the day after all of that happened, I woke up feeling just good. I felt like I didn't have to, like, I didn't feel defensive. And so it was just really kind of pushing myself beyond anything I've ever been comfortable with. And yeah, I painted this mural and met a bunch of amazing people. And for the first time, like, I allowed people to love me and just like acknowledge me. I think I had a difficult time being perceived by people, and I didn't like that. So it was just like the first time where I allowed people to kind of see me for who I was. And then in doing that, I learned who I was. And then I was like, oh, I've always known who I was. I just allowed someone else to kind of take over me. And so, I don't know, here I am, and I'm kind of badass and kind of just chilling all the time.
It is crazy how like someone can come into your life and take up like so much mental space that you forget that, like, I really believe you're on earth to complete a mission, right? Mm-hmm. But like how someone can come into your life and like halt the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
But it's like you love them, so you're like, mama, baby. And then you just end up getting caught with that shit.
You get kind of I was put in a position where I like I took care of my mom like my entire life. So then I started dating someone, and I was put in a position where I was like essentially their mom. And it was like severe mommy vibes. And I just was not happy. And then I kind of just felt angry all the time. And I felt like I wasn't a fun person to be around. So for a while, I was convinced that I was like just a terrible person, and like no one liked me. And then I found out, oh, it was not the person I was with, but it was like the situation I allowed myself to be in. And like you can't blame anyone for like how you are. So I had to take accountability and say like, oh, if I want to be a better person, I have to do what's right for me and remove myself from the situation. And
yeah.
I did
proud
it.
of you. That's
Thanks.
So sick. Yeah. Being mommy is not cool. I'm that other bitch. You know what I mean? I'm not your mom.
I'm like a really cool uncle who like I'm like emotionally unavailable, but like I bring really cool Hot Wheels over every once in a while.
You're the gay uncle that's like, let's go, like be yourself, kid. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gunkle.
I'm a gunkle.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's interesting, like hearing you talk about that, and how that impacted your art. Was it? You stated that you had to put your art on the back burner because of the cost or just the bandwidth this relationship took up. So how has that changed now?
So I think it was allowing myself to be with somebody who had convinced me that I wasn't good without them. And that the only reason I was successful was because of them being behind me. And it was once I was on my own, it was like maybe a month after leaving, I started putting myself out there and like doing art stuff. And I was like, oh, I actually am doing all this on my own. I'm fully capable. And like, I think that's like when my art style kind of like solidified itself, as I had no like outside voices telling me who to be. I was just like, it was scary. It's like the first time I ever had to think for myself and like understand what I needed. And there's no other person. There's no like safety net to tell me how to feel and how to think. And like, I had to be responsible for
Can
that.
I ask you some more questions related to that zone right there? Because you're talking about expressing yourself in a way that sounds vulnerable or unfamiliar, maybe kind of like uncharted territory. and it sounds like you expressed that that's scary or nerve-wracking. What do you think it is about that? Like, I can relate a lot to that, but like, what do you think it is about that, like, causes that like hesitation or that concern?
I think for me, I was raised in a very like culturally like tough environment. Like, I was raised by a bunch of badass, strong Indigenous women, but they were all very much like, we do not show discomfort. We are not vulnerable. We are not like, crying was considered weakness, and like, it wasn't productive. So a lot of my life was putting my emotions aside to be productive, to be a clear person. And the only emotion like they were willing to be was anger, because they correlated anger with strength. And like, the more angry and the louder you yelled, the stronger you are. And it took a lot for me to unlearn, like, that's not true. And I was actually considered the like baby of the family, the most emotional one, which I feel is like wild, considering I just was a human being going through emotions. So it just was a lot of unlearning all of that, like unlearning that it's okay to be emotional, it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to like, I don't know, be like, I'm allowed to have feelings.
Well, I think like as an artist, yeah. Farrell, did you have something to say about that?
I mean, I really relate because I'm a Black native, and I think it's like, we aren't even fucking from here. We got from Trail of Tears, and it's like, well, no one gives a fuck, so tighten up. But it's like, people do give a fuck, and like, maybe like you should give a fuck about the way you feel, because that will help you show up better. But there's this kind of ingrained stoicism with people of color where it's like, you're a cog in the machine, and like, don't take it personal.
Especially like, I grew up poor, like severely poor.
Shout out to being
North Tulsa.
I don't know. I also grew up poor.
Yeah, single mom, and she was 20 when she had me. So it was just like, I saw her, like, that's where the sacrifice I think I saw was like, my mom, she wanted to be an artist, and she gave all of that up. She had like a full scholarship to an art school in Colorado, found out she was pregnant, gave all that up to kind of raise me alone. And I remember like just seeing how she was, and like the sacrifices she made were great and they're beneficial. And I feel very privileged for the life that I have now, but it just was so detrimental to her. She like didn't get to live the life I think she truly wanted. And I think me, like, seeing that and being poor, I think kind of allows you to not fear anything. Like, I never had anything. I don't have anything to lose.
Yes.
I don't have a single thing to lose, because I've been like in a situation where we couldn't pay our bills. I've been in a situation where there was food insecurity. Like, I've experienced all of that. So I'm not afraid to experience it again, because I know how to get out of that. I used to get called, my childhood nickname was Roaches, because I'm willing to survive anything.
Shit.
And so I just have always been super like survival mode from the moment I was born until like still now.
Damn. So on that thing, like there's damn. So as like an artist, I feel like our job is to be sensitive. Like I think most artists naturally have like heightened sensitivity about like color, sound, taste, smell, aesthetics. Like I remember just always, like, I got into graphic design and was just like irritated when I would see people who just couldn't like, how does this shit not bother you? Like these terrible, just ugly designs or furniture that's ugly, just stuff that like, I'm like, it really, have you seen the Grand Budapest Hotel movie? Yes. So, Ralph Fiennes' character, he's like the concierge. I relate to that character way too much. When he's like, it revolts me. He's like not being arrogant. He genuinely is just like, no, you don't smell bad around me, okay? Because I don't like that. Wear that ganache or whatever his perfume preference was. And it's tough because like growing up poor, growing up in any kind of like disadvantage, you have to bear this kind of like constant grotesque experience of ugly things and as well as like I don't know, but you have to maintain that sensitivity. It's like you want to get jaded and like get over it and not care. And I feel like
I don't know. How do you feel about that related to your art and your practice?
I think for me, a long time, it was easy to be jaded. It was easy to be bitter. It was like, it's easy to do that. What's hard is to be vulnerable. It's hard to do the work of like allowing people in to see you. And like, I just think that, I don't know, like my main focus right now is to just kind of be, it sounds so annoying and like cliche, and I like watch a lot of Housewives, so it's like be authentic and live your truth, but like it's kind of what I'm like in my own way of that. And it's like you have to be sensitive and you have to be vulnerable and you have to be emotional, because that's a huge aspect of being an artist. Is like the only way you're good at it, maybe, I don't know, this is maybe, but like the only way I feel personally good at it is if I am allowing myself to feel everything that I actually feel. And I don't know.
100%.
I wonder, like, if any of you are like this, but like growing up in like tumultuous surroundings, like, were you ever kind of curating your own world outside of what like reality was? Because like looking at us, like we all look kooky, but in the coolest way. And I wonder if this is like some sort of extension of like our childhood selves. I feel like our childhood selves will be like, fuck yeah, you know?
I'm 100% like, whenever I was like going through this whole sacrifice of like changing everything about my life, and like I didn't know what my future looked like. I remember like the most monumental moment for me was I went to sleep and I had a dream. And like in this dream, I was holding hands with a kid, and I've never like wanted a kid, and I've never wanted to do that. So I was like, this feels very weird. But then I like looked at the kid and I realized the kid was a child version of me and I was my mother. And at that moment, like in the dream, it was like telling me, or like what I got from it was, it felt like I was finally saving this like kid version of me, the child version of me. And I was taking care of us, and I was going to give us the life that we wanted. And the life that I want is being this version of me. I feel like I am the version of me that kid version always wanted. And I am like, sometimes I feel like I wish I could go back in time and just like see that little Dan and just like tell them like, you can do all of this, and you can be weird, and you can be funny, and like you don't have to be a serious person, because people are going to love what you are because you're doing it your way.
And being authentic about it, like people can feel that shit, you know? And that's like how you're able to get this audience, you know? Oh, okay. Question about your art. I've always loved your art and been like watching it. There's a point where you were kind of doing figure based, and then there was a moment where everything kind of started to get pinker, and then you got even weirder. And I remember there was this thing where like the eyes were like, woo. And I'm like, I wonder, was that like post the breakup and you kind of finding yourself? Because I was just like, damn, Dan is turning the fuck up.
Yeah, I remember the exact moment. I painted that mural, and I don't know what it was, but I also was going through figuring out my gender identity. So it's like I was going through so much for a 24-year-old that like is unbelievable that I was putting that much pressure on myself. But like my style, like the pinks and the blues, were an exact mockery of like the gender binary. So I like try to keep them pink and blue, kind of making fun of it. And also, like the makeup is inspired by drag, because drag is also a big influence on how I came out. It's just this whole, like, I remember I was watching an interview with a drag artist, and they had said that there's a version of them, and then there's a version they create a character, and the character is basically them faking it until they make it, and they live the personality they want through that character until that character becomes them. So like Dan Roche is like my actual legal name, and Dan Rocky for a long time was like this separate version of me that was more confident, funnier, and like wild and willing to do crazy things. And then there was just this version of me that's normal. And I remember like leaning into it until people started seeing that as me, and then people started seeing like, this is Dan Rocky. And I just leaned heavily into it until it became who I am.
That is so sick. I love that.
Thank you. I'm trying.
I think you're succeeding. Ferrell, what about your like identity journey?
Well, Oh, let me tell you. No, I feel like it's interesting. I feel like I was always allowed to be me. I come from kind of like a really gangster family, so like, you know.
I'm getting this feeling that you didn't grow up poor.
No, I mean,
It's okay.
I grew up in West
It's okay.
Tulsa.
We accept all kinds of people.
I grew up in West Tulsa, but I did have the biggest house in the neighborhood.
Oh shit.
Don't play with me.
Go ahead.
But it's still out west. But I don't know. I feel like I was always allowed to be myself. And like, even around like the idea like of me coming out and being gay, I guess a lot of my friends were like, we knew, but like
My experience.
it wasn't that big of a deal to us. So I think people are just like, oh yeah, like do more. Like I've been blessed to have support in like a place where like it's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's because of kind of my ingrained protection and like the circle that I was very blessed to have, you know, where people just wanted me to express myself. But I see that that's not the theme for everyone. And I guess like with that responsibility, I always try to encourage others to be themselves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys mind if I jump in and like, it's interesting hearing the difference between like how we all get here, right? Because you were talking about, it sounds like you've just always been like yourself.
Yeah.
I envy that. And then for you were saying that it was like, there was this normal version, but then you started allowing the more radical version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you said like, you're going to do it until it just becomes, in my experience was kind of the opposite, where I had always been weird and unruly and different, and not always in like I'm proud of my difference, but like trying to be normal,
Mm-hmm.
constantly like masking to like see how other people behave and like try to be like that. And then also growing up poor was like, I have to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk a bit about like having a corporate career, and through my 20s, really working in like an environment where I would make money and be successful in that kind of way, and having to like fit in around like normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me was like the difference where I clicked, where I'm like, I really don't want to be like this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if you're like a normal person watching this, but like I despise normal people.
Oh, I wanted to be a lawyer when I was 18, graduating high school. That was what I was going to do.
I feel like you would eat that still.
Yeah.
You'd be like, hold up.
I
bitch.
had an incredible geography teacher who passed like in 2022. Great man, but he was like a big influence for all 4 years of my high school career. And he sat me down and he was like, I think you would make a great lawyer. I just don't think you'd be happy. And he's like, you should pursue art. And then my mom, she told me I had like a scholarship to go to an Indian college in Kansas. And my mom sat me down and she was like, if you want to do art, college will always be there. And college is not the answer for everyone. She's like, if you want to do it, you can do it by yourself. And I just like that year graduating, I applied for Blue Dome and like made it in and was selling art for the first time. And it was like this like high that I have never experienced before, where it's not even like making the money. I didn't care about me. I was selling my paintings for like $40. It was more about like the fact that people, like, I feel like I have a hard time connecting with people personally. Like, I feel like it's easy for me to just talk about what I'm going through, but to feel actual connection, it's still like I have that guard up. But when I was painting, it felt like people actually saw me and were able to connect with me. And so it was important that people saw my paintings and they thought they were important enough to want them around them all the time.
That part. See, I feel like the biggest thing, at least as a visual artist, I'm sure for musicians, there's different ways of like, depending what your practice is. But if for a visual artist, you spend a lot of time and you spend money, right? Paints aren't free, canvas isn't free, brushes aren't free. Your time is the only like finite resource you really have. You make this thing, and as the quote says, like, no artist is pleased, there's no satisfaction, whatever, at any point. And there's also like, anyway, so having somebody else buy it, and they're like, here's money I worked for, and I want your image that you made. And especially now when there's like, people can decorate their house with almost anything, and they can get it pretty much immediately. They can get exactly what they want on Amazon or whatever. Having somebody want your work, it's like they're validating. It's very validating, because what they want is like, you as the artist made this thing, and you have a point of view, like not just like perspective, but you as a human being have your own point of view of the world. And through that point of view, you are expressing it in this way. And then you're also like expressing your skill that it takes depending on the type of work that you do and how that shows up. Anyway, it's just like, it's very powerful.
Okay, as visual artists, I feel like you guys have a different sell than me, like with having a publication. I don't know, like, do you feel like not like imposter syndrome around painting, but like, why the fuck do you like this? Like when people like your stuff, because that's how I felt when I would do stuff. Like when I was into like kind of studio art, I'd be like, why do you like this?
I think so. I have imposter syndrome like every moment of my life. I feel like it's it's a wild thing that always happens. But I think like the good thing about it is like I may have imposter syndrome, but I am very sure of what I want. And I'm very hard-headed and stubborn about what I want, that I will do almost anything to paint. Like that's a whole other thing too, is like, even if I wasn't making money, even if like I wasn't in a gallery or any of that stuff, like I know it's easy to say it, but I still feel like at the end of the day, I would still be painting. Because to me, when I'm painting, it feels like that's my purpose in this place. I'm here for a short period of time. I'm not here forever. And I don't want to like ruin the world around me. So the only thing I want to do is just paint and hope that people connect to it and relate to it. But I still get imposter syndrome. And I get like, why do people see this and think it's amazing when like I don't know. It's like I love it. I know why I love it, but like why does someone else love it?
Yeah. And I guess it's just really like you gotta embrace the Delu.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, this shit's amazing.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Totally. And can I jump in like on that, adding to that? It's like, this is a thing that I had advice with art for visual art with that delusion thing. If you show up with a piece and I think it's dope and you're like, oh, well, I don't know, it sucks and it's kind of bad and you like are all embarrassed and whatever, it's going to make me be like, oh, thank God I almost bought a bad painting. I thought it was dope and now I realize it sucks. Great. Okay. Put my money back in my pocket.
Making the person, the audience, like you're almost critiquing them. You're almost making them feel bad for liking it. And like I had to learn that the hard way because I like criticize everything I do, but you're making somebody look at it, feel stupid for liking it. And it's, you don't ever want to alienate someone for enjoying what you do.
Yeah. Your shit.
Yeah.
How about the way people interpret your work?
That's the thing that I'm like a hard pill for me to swallow. Is like you can't control how people interpret it. Like I know why I paint it. I know what I'm trying to get out of it. But like this is something that even happened to me recently. Friday there was this gallery opening. My paintings were up, and this man was like, "I want to talk to an artist here." And I had a conversation with him, and he was deeply homophobic, and he was just like mansplaining homophobic just like rhetoric at me, saying like, why does it matter that you're an artist and you're queer? That shouldn't matter to me. And he was like, do you just like claim being queer so you can get more likes on Instagram?
Whoa.
And was just like really going in at me. And I used to be a reactive person, but I feel like I'm calm now. And I just remember like, I was just like talking to him and I was like trying to hear him out. And I just had to explain like, it's not important that my art is queer, but it's important to me. And if you're going to see my art, you can't deny it because the whole reason I paint is about my experience of being a queer person. So inherently, my art is queer. It's just like being an Indigenous artist. My art isn't traditional, but at the end of the day, it's Indian art because I am a person who experienced my culture. And through my culture, I am painting. So it was just
it's
like
that point of view.
Yeah. And
right?
like, he was like, I'm not going to go to a museum and read the blurb. I don't care about that. So I just want to see the piece and decide if I like it or if I do or if I don't. And I was like, yeah, that's okay. But if you're going to like it and hopefully you do, and you want to like continue to see my work, you're going to have to, at the end of the day, accept that I am a queer person.
Yeah.
Well, context is so important.
It is.
And the thing is, like, I guarantee you that guy doesn't collect art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's anybody who's like, I just want to see it on the face value. It's like, then use AI, bro.
Yeah.
Like, just say, like, I want to see me naked flying on a shark, and it'll make that for you.
Prompt.
Right? Because it's like, that's not why people collect. At least the collectors I've met who like really have collections of fine art.
Mhm.
It's all about the story, the humanity, the person's boldness. They're willing to take the time and the material to express their human existence, right? It's to share their point of view.
Yeah, anyone can paint a flower, but why did that person paint a flower?
Right.
It's like the whole argument with like somebody goes to a museum and they see like a brush stroke on a painting and they're like, I can do that. Yeah, you can do that, but you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Did
You didn't. And you're
Yeah.
like, it's about the artist's experience doing that. There's so much nuance behind it. There's intent behind it. And you can't just, like, you can just go look at art and take it for face value, but then you're not experiencing it. You're not.
I feel like that's pictures. You're
Yeah.
looking at pictures. And I
then
think
just go
there's
to
a difference,
Barnes and
right?
Nobles and buy
Totally.
a child's book.
Totally. No, well, it's like the difference between like, like I am a kid and I want to look at illustrations in a book
Mhm.
is not the same thing as like the kind of fine art that you and I are dabbling in where you're expressing yourself. And I think it's just a different mode. And this is a thing that Skip Hill told me when I was early on getting my feet into like full-time artistry. And I was struggling to make art and reach a specific audience. And he was like, Trueson, people who aren't educated don't buy art.
Mhm.
And he's like he's over 50 and he's very successful. He's like been in big, institutions and stuff. And that really was a wake-up call for me because I was like, oh shit. Like I've had access to education to appreciate this kind of thing. And
Mhm.
like people who don't have that privilege, I guess, really.
Yeah, it's a
Right?
Yeah. And it makes me think, like, I think both of your works are so informed and beautifully constructed. And like, it makes you think about like the place we're in, like as in being in Oklahoma, right?
Mhm.
My friend's mom's house, like she might piece this together, but her house is full of this fucking horrible pop art. And it's I don't know who it is in town, but he does numbers. And it's like if Andy Warhol did some bullshit. Like that's the best way I can describe it. If Andy Warhol did some bullshit and he's everywhere and he comes to our college and talks, I'm like, you're the one here?
Well, don't get me started on. I don't already like
And then,
Andy
like,
Warhol.
well, I fuck with Andy because Andy was intentional with his thing. He's like, Brillo pads, consumerism.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, I get where you're coming from.
Postmodernism, right?
Yeah, but then
He's
it's like this person saw Andy Warhol and was like, I'm going to do characters from TV shows and make them pop art style. I'm like, oh, like, kill me. Sorry, I can be a real
there's
bitch
that
about some
sensitivity.
fucking art.
No, but that's the thing. I feel like as artists, right? It's like
Or it's like horses too. Sorry to cut you off. It's like these horses in these galleries. And I'm like, who the fuck is buying this? Can you just like hit me up and I can like fill your mansion with some cute shit? And look at this ribbon. Like, just hit me up because like your mansion looks like shit. And like, why you keep buying this stuff? Buy some stuff from them. Fuck wrong with you? Sorry, I had to tell the camera.
You're okay. I
selling for y'all.
don't pay
Yes,
horses,
please.
so
I mean,
You
I
can hit it.
grew up with a horse. I love a horse, but like, damn, you gotta have a horse?
yeah.
Fuck. Sorry, it's a tangent.
No, I mean it is interesting though, because I mean like that's the thing is like art is subjective, right?
Yeah.
It's like everybody has their own. I referenced the Lost Da Vinci story where there was this crusty painting of Jesus that had been passed around from people, sold like $50, $150, whatever. This guy sees it at a yard sale and he's like, I think this may have been a disciple of Da Vinci who copied the real one. This might be worth some money. He buys it. He takes it to the university. They study it. They're like, no, this is the real original lost Da Vinci. And it sells for $500 million. So the point is, until you know that Leonardo da Vinci's hand touched it, it's a crusty painting of Jesus that is worth $150. But now that we know who made it and the story and who they were, yada, 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 it's worth $500 million. So like, that's the thing I think that's important is that it's not a measurable thing like, the steel, the quality of the steel in this blade and things you could use with like science to measure like how much it should cost. But if it was like, oh, this was a legendary swordsman or swordsmaker, whatever, who climbed a mountain and yada, yada, a special hammer, then it's now has that je ne sais quoi.
Literally. Okay, and then back to the horse thing, right? You're a whole native artist with a unique fucking perspective. But then it's like, this white dude painted a horse and it's like ripping off Santa Fe and like those sort of like native artists over there
Mhm.
that are just like have like ancestral patterns and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like you're doing numbers by being a watered down version of like the current like but yet you're the current like iteration of native art.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I'm really stuck on that one.
I'm gonna
Well,
start
I mean,
paying
like,
horses.
I feel a lot about like the accessibility. Like, it's a challenge, right? Because you want to make work that you believe in, that resonates with you,
Mhm.
and there are also people who buy art who are not sensitive, right? Like we're talking about, and because they're like insensitive, things that are very sensitive can make them feel very uncomfortable, and they're like, oh, there's something about this that just, for whatever reason, it makes me feel a feeling, and I don't like that. And I think there's a difference between decor and art. And like some people don't want art. They want decor. They want something that matches the curtains.
They don't want to
Fill
think.
the room.
They don't want to
Yeah.
think when they look at it. They
They
just
don't
want
want
to see
something-
something pretty.
Totally.
Their
And they
hotel.
want the Hobby Lobby A and the cross and the, the ampersand or whatever, the live, laugh, love. And
Mhm.
like, it's just fill the background. It's
I can't
decor.
believe this.
Is
So-
that
I can't
redescribing
believe that.
your decor at home?
Shabby chic. I got a shabby chic apartment in Claremore.
I call
My
mine,
double
my
wide.
aesthetic is grandma chic because I raid estate sales. So lace, candelabras.
But then again, those
Swords.
people were like super rizzed up. That's like some
Oh,
real
for
rich
sure.
bitch shit.
Absolutely.
They're like, oh, this came from the
Yeah.
other side of France and
Yeah.
the people.
Oh
in
no,
the-"
it's true. You'll find some.
yeah.
Okay, so I would like to give you a creative reading.
Okay.
May I have your permission?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have
Your
full
consent?
permission.
Consent.
Yeah, consent.
Okay. So let me explain how this works. I'm going to give you a creative reading.
Mhm.
When I put these on, I'm going to see all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
And will have no idea what it is because it's about you. It's not about me. So you're going to have to give me context or at least interpret what it is. And it may surprise you how specific this stuff is going to be about you.
Mhm.
Like truly, you may be shocked about some of the shit I'm going to see because again, it's all about you. This is what is existing around you, on you, in you, but I don't know what it is. So you'll have to help me out.
I
Let's
love
take
when
off
things
one.
are about me.
There we go.
Can I have the eye
we go.
patch?
Yeah.
Is it going to help your creative experience?
Yeah, I think so.
You're gonna block him. You'll block him.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of
Yeah,
sick.
thanks.
With the glasses.
I don't even need the glasses. I don't know
Okay.
how to wear an eye patch.
Can I wear your glasses?
Yeah, they're dirty.
All right. Is everybody's
Everyone
optics?
switch.
Are we all getting our optics
Yeah,
set up
we're
here?
ready.
Okay. I'm seeing a Bowie knife,
Damn, Danny
a
came
large
out-
Bowie knife.
Sorry. Revision.
You're holding like a large, you know what a Bowie knife is? Like the big, it's almost like between a machete and a knife, a
Yeah.
big one. And you've got blood on your hand. It's like dripping down your arm. You're in a dark room. It doesn't look like you're wearing clothes.
Classic.
Is that, help me out here. Does that mean anything to you?
Being naked in a dark room with blood on my hands.
Blood dripping down your hand with like a large knife.
You don't remember that day?
It's like a regular Tuesday night for me. No, I can see that.
Okay.
Like,
No, I mean, like, it's specific to something in your life. It could have been in the past. Does that have anything to do with I'm seeing like gold around your feet, gold coins.
whoa.
Getting that money, money.
Yeah, but you're like
Did I kill?
I don't know. I can't tell. But there's like blood on your arm. It's like dripping
You
down
killed a
your
leprechaun.
elbow.
I'm scared of leprechauns.
Yeah. No, please take this seriously.
No, I am
know
trying.
we're all being very silly, but
Okay.
this is a serious practice of mine.
It's really I'm taking you 100%
Okay.
serious. It's the
Blood-
person behind me that's
Okay, blood on your arm, gold. I'm trying to stay with this vision. It's starting to like fizzle out. We may come back to it.
Mhm.
Okay, now I'm seeing a elaborate rug, hand woven rug.
Mhm.
It looks worn, like heavily worn, like it's like the as if it's old. I can tell that it's really old, and it's hanging on a clothing line actually, and I can see like sun coming through the hole, like the sun rays are coming through like the holes of this rug. Beautiful blue sky, giant cloud formation in the background. It's like golden hour. There's dust in the air, and I'm seeing the sun rays. Is there carpet relevant to you in some way? Is this a rug? Do you have a rug in your life that's...
I used to make rugs.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was a tufter for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I have
mean,
like
that tracks.
a big dream of I have a huge rug I want to make this year.
Okay. What's the content of the rug?
This is going to sound insane. I want it to be the staple of every aspect of my art to the point of where I'm at now.
Wow. So as in like you say the staple, could you be more specific?
I want it to represent like the aspects of all of my different versions of myself as an artist. Like I was a realist painter, and then I was a screen printer, and I was a tufter, and like I wanted to represent kind of all of that.
Wow. Well, there's like sunlight coming through it. You know, I don't know if like the way I interpret that is like perhaps, you know, sun is like the thing that they use as like the there's a cliche about standing in the sun as in like authenticity, no height, not hiding anything, like full light.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps maybe that's coming through this rug, this worn, weathered rug that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I'm now getting an image of an old boombox, like the kind of you put on your shoulder.
For sure.
And it's switching through radio stations. I'm hearing talk radio now. And it's like in a concrete basement. Let's see here. Concrete basement. Does that mean anything? Like the kind that have the
cement basement?
No, like the cinder block is what I'm seeing.
Oh.
Cinder blocks kind of basement. It smells kind of like mold.
Yeah.
Damp and moldy.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's probably like where I'm at. That's like probably where I felt for a while.
Mm.
And then the rug with the light shining through is probably like me finally reaching a place with my art where I'm allowing the vulnerability in.
Mm. Okay, damn. And then I want to go back to that image of the big knife.
Yeah.
And the gold on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, the blood? It's like, I'm trying to get your expression too, because it's, at first I assumed that it was like ominous and aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
But like, as I'm looking at it, it's not. It's almost like you have pity in your heart. And there's like a little, almost like in a, it's not smirking in like a devious way, but in like a, you know, like, I don't know. You see like a child that, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this kind of, you've got blood, a big knife, and standing.
Could be like the amount of guilt I felt for making the sacrifices to take care of myself.
Mm. Well, you're standing on a pile of gold in the image, so.
And I haven't had made a single dime yet. So.
But you're standing on it.
I'm standing on it.
Yeah, well, there's,
Stand
you know,
on business.
there's what do they say? There's some term about, I don't know, value. Not money isn't always,
Mm-hmm.
you know, gold doesn't always, to me, it's like, it's typically interpreted as something that's like highest value.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally don't know if money is that. I know gold has been used as a currency, but all right, I think I'm going to take these off now.
I'm like, quit trying
Okay,
to
thank you
incriminate
for doing
Dan.
that.
Like,
I appreciate that.
he's trying to find out about that night.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna have to talk about that blade. If it's incriminating in some way, I don't like. I know you were considering being a lawyer, and maybe you have like an awareness
haven't
not to.
Killed anyone.
Okay,
I can like
for the record,
100%
a murder
say
has
that.
not taken place.
Yeah, maybe it's like I want to like have a murder mystery.
Oh, I love murder. I love
I
a good
know.
murder
I've been
mystery.
trying to get in on this.
Okay.
Segue
All right,
into me.
I happen to
inviting
know
myself.
somebody who could help make that happen. Okay, well that was
Your glasses are crazy.
I can't see.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm blind as shit.
Could I have my eye patch back?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, switch again. Woo. So, Pookie, what are you up to these days? And what can we expect to see from you like this summer and the rest of the calendar year? Because I'm trying to be tapped in. And I know they're trying to be tapped in.
So my goal that I'm like still in the stages of figuring out, I've wanted to be an installation artist for a very long time. So my like dream, this vision that I've had it since I was 18, and like I feel like I'm finally ready for it. I want to do a full installation inside of a house, and I finally think I found the venue. So I'm hoping that I can secure the funding, and once that happens, like I want to kind of challenge myself the most I've ever challenged myself. I just get bored easily as an artist, and I want to do more.
Same. You know, ADHD, it's the biggest power an artist can have.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, damn, it's boring.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
I know, but
That
like
part, dang.
outside of that, I like have had the busiest year I've ever had. Had nothing but like show after show, and I am excited to have some opportunities I can't really talk about yet, but like I have a pretty huge one that I'm like really excited about. I feel like things are finally validating me in terms of where I'm at right now. And I just hope that, you know, I think I'm somebody who is never satisfied, and sometimes that's my downfall. But currently right now, once I get my goal, I'm like, oh, I can dream bigger. I can ask for more from this world. So I'm just going to keep trying to go bigger and bigger and bigger, because honestly, the only thing standing in my way is myself.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And like throughout that process, I think you should just acknowledge like your wins. And that's why I say it's like, it sounds like we were raised very similarly. And it's like, you just keep going, but it's like, hey, let's pause. Let's have a little party about this.
I think that's something I have to work on.
Yeah.
My current partner, he's been very beneficial in like helping me. I think he's probably the main reason I have a different worldview and I'm not as bitter anymore. Shout out Ryan. But he's like kind of helping me see that I'm a person that loves to be stressed. I love to work. I have a full-time job, and I like art is also a full-time job. I don't take any days off. I'm constantly working, and I sacrifice like hanging out with my friends and having relationships because I love working so much. And I think he's a person where he had asked me one day, he was like, do you ever sit down and recognize the things you've accomplished? And I was like, oh, no, I don't. Like, I feel like once I do it, I'm like, okay, what's next? And I feel like I'm constantly like that. And now I'm with him, and I'm starting to appreciate the moment that I am in right now, because the future is not always guaranteed, but I can at least have what I've done right now.
That's beautiful. And I think like I relate, and I think so many people watching will relate to this entire conversation.
Can I add to that, like that thing,
Mm-hmm.
like this topic? I think there's a thing people say, like the past version of you, like you just 6 months ago
Mm-hmm.
was trying to get to where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And was like, oh man, if only this, if only that, if only I could have this win and this success and this moment and this recognition and this yada, yada. Right. And then you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're saying, we have to celebrate that. Like we have to take stock on that. And I think as art, right, if you're like making a living, there's no completion. There's no done point. It's not like, oh yeah, now I finished my business is set up in passive income where I passively art makes itself for me. Let's check an NFT generator or something like that.
Oh God.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like a thing you're just going to constantly be doing. And like the quote says, there's no satisfaction, whatever at any point. There's only a queer divine dissatisfaction, the blessed unrest.
I am the queer dissatisfaction.
I'm queer satisfaction.
No, that's right.
Together we are
Neutral.
just queer.
That's funny.
Thank you. I was working on
I
that.
like you.
Thank you so much, Dan, for coming on the show, being vulnerable, sharing stuff, teaching us, educating us. This is an opportunity for us to tell people how to follow you, how to find your art. All the people that are watching and listening, where can we find you?
I'm a huge social media fanatic. Just Instagram, Dan Rocky, 2 Ys, because 1 Y is stolen by a man who just has a picture of a surfboard. So if you have the time, like bully and harass that
Fuck
person.
that dude.
Yeah, just Dan Rocky on Instagram, and that's really it. I mean, I'm everywhere, and I don't stop appearing everywhere. So people are gonna see me regardless if they want to or not.
Hell yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming on our show and sharing all that. And the wonderful co-host, Prince Ferrell.
Yeah.
Providing the immaculate vibes and good questions and all that. I also want to thank everybody else who helped produce this show, the channel. I want to thank Citizens of Sound, Pop House Music, Richard Song, and this amazing building that we're in, the Riverside studio, historic Riverside studio, as well as ASLUT. And I want to thank me, Trueson Daugherty, for being involved as well.
For being a swashbuckler.
That's right. With that, we're going to now go to our guest musician, Kaylin Faye, who is going to be performing at the Parlor right now. So please give us a warm welcome for Kaylin Faye!
Tell you how I've been, how it's going, maybe. Lately I'm just trying to make it through. It's a game we've all been playing for a long time. I wanna know who told us to. Making checks and checking in. More than a piece of paper ever says I am. Tell you how I've been, how it's going, maybe. Lately I'm just trying to make it through. It's a game we've all been playing for a long time. Wanna know who told us to. I wanna know who told us to. I wanna know who told us to.
Awesome. Wow. That's incredible.